Hello everyone, and welcome to The Reaction. I'm Christian Pratt, and with me as always is Papa Pratt.
Good day, everybody. Welcome.
This has been quite the adventure to get this episode out. If you notice, it's been quite a while since we released a new one. We've just had all sorts of technical issues. Just a ton.
All sorts of audio issues. I think this is probably, our fifth or sixth time doing this?
Yes. Everything you said is accurate.
but this is the charm. Now we definitely know this game very well, so we're still going to try and go into this as if we're pointing out everything that happened, and hopefully we don't mess this one up again.
Yeah, we will.
We absolutely we will. There are sureties in this world, and that is one of them.
All right, so what are we looking at here? We got Lulu Firstone versus Jessa Nani.
Yeah, so this Lulu Firstone deck came from the conversations after your match with Rob Freeman and how we could potentially make blood puppets and owls that shell viable again. Now, I didn't build this specifically for Jessa, but I did feel as though going in against Nick that it could do some work against Jessa, and you'll see how this all works out. One thing that we are going to say is that not all of our decks from this point forward are going to be blood puppets, so they're a big favorite of mine. But I do think that there's some interesting stuff, and it's always fun to put those little guys out there and see them do some work.
It was really fun. So I think this is not to say anyone else we've had on the reaction yet is not not important, but I think that Nick Conley is a name that I actually knew going into this video. Which, does that make sense?
No, sure, absolutely. So he did very well in the first online TTS league. He's done fairly well in the online tournament run by Sima and Eric Rodriguez.
Which, if you guys want to check out, it's all on YouTube.
Oh yeah, they're from some fantastic games. And then just recently, Nick took second with Jessa, probably not this one, but probably a variant in at Origins at Kingmakers.
Yeah.
So there's no flies on Nick, right? He's a darn good player.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Jessa, and I say we talk like we talk all the time. Back in the day, after I would play in the league, we would talk about the match afterwards, and I just had some questions, some stuff he was trying. He was running Poison back in the day, and he's just one of those players that wants to play what he wants to play, and not necessarily what the meta demands of it.
Right.
The meta demands we should play, and I really like that about him.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see a card here that I think he was testing out against me. So I might not have necessarily gotten his A game. So I understand that. This is a league game. But every time you play against Nick Conley, you're going to get a game. You're going to get a darn good match.
For sure.
Now, we did have some technical difficulties in the middle of this. We'll try and smooth that out. During this match, the game sort of got hung up, but we were able to get back in and start move forward.
Technical difficulties? Us?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No way.
I also think I turned on the turn marker, and it's one of the first time I actually used it, and I didn't do a very good job of ending my turn with the marker properly. So apologies for that. But I think I did a better job with my ready spells. So we'll see. So
talk to me about your first five here. It looks like we got a Regress, Open Memories, Enchanted Violinist, Summon Three-Eyed Owl, and Summon Blood Puppet.
Yeah, my plan is to regress a Hammer Knight and Open Memories for a Blood Puppet. Fill his battlefield with a regressed Knight and 2 Blood Puppets. That's my plan. Reduce the Screams effect, as I'm not going to have a significant number of troops for him to kill. And I'm just going to gum up his battlefield, and I'm probably not going to use Bolster a whole heck of a lot. That's not my plan, actually. My plan is to burn over the top. Gum up the board and burn.
Right out of the gate, we see him meditate for Hammer Knight mana in the Power Ceremonial. Mm-hmm. And then he meditates an Ice Trap, which is really scary if he has it in his first 5. And then thirdly, he puts out a Frostback Bear. So Hammer Bear is probably confirmed here.
Yep. And I start with an Owl. I don't want to tip the hand on the Blood Puppets quite yet. I want to hold them back. They're always a surprise. Owl seems pretty straightforward for this dice spread, right?
Right. Unless you're expecting Blood Puppets, this dice spread, you're thinking heavy allies like Crimson Bomber, Fire Archers, Channel Violinist. Oh, and here it comes. Wasting no time.
There's the Hammer Knight, which I'm okay with, right? I expected. So Regress is going to do its work, hopefully, and start to apply pressure to that battlefield, reduce it. So I only have a 4 battlefield now, effectively, unless he blood chains. That's what he has.
I think that Regress is one of those cards we really like, but just doesn't seem to get a lot of play in the meta. And I say the meta, I just mean like the overall meta, everyone's meta.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way to stop that. There's no Golden Veil there. There's no you cut the strings is the only card I think removes it. But for whatever reason, that 2 mana just doesn't seem good for people. I don't know why.
Well, it does for me, certainly from the standpoint of trying to gum up somebody's battlefield. But I think people want to swing, and they look at that as an interesting, that doesn't really move their win condition. Now, there's that card that I was talking about that I think that was a test, right? Chant of the Dead is an interesting choice out of Jessa here. I'm curious. We'll see if that does some work for him.
Yeah, I wonder if he would have summoned the bear there instead of playing Chant of the Dead, if he could have applied more pressure on you. Because then you're still living in the Ice Trap fear.
Right.
And by fear, I mean you're afraid of the Ice Trap, not that he's going to do something with fear.
Right. No, he would hit me for 3 potentially. I'm okay still, I think, with Lulu. We were even lives at that point. So I'm okay even if I do get hit by a bear, I think. So, with our mana numbers right now, I'm feeling like I'm okay with the bear probably coming out. That's only going to leave him a couple more mana. I'm probably going to be all right. And I'm probably going to owl out an EV because that's typically the case. So that's another mana for the EV to get it back. And I think I'm going to have some pretty good pressure onto his battlefield.
Yes, for sure. I just ran something very similar to this in a tournament and did pretty well. It wasn't Lulu, it was Jessa, though.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So here comes the big reveal, the blood puppet.
Yeah, his hand cursor is hovering over the blood puppet for a few minutes there. And so I didn't decide to memory drain because, I guess just it's the dance of the EV, right, at that point. So I could have done some pressure to his board. But I do think I used this owl to effect.
Yeah, if he's going to side action meditate to kill the owl, like you're going to get more mana than you would have for memory draining. You're just gonna you would get a mana and a damage if you memory drained, but this way you have a blocker. It's sticking around. He has to commit a lot more resources to get rid of it, which is good for you.
So I'm open memories for my second blood puppet, and again I'm feeling pretty confident with him having no more mana, or I'm realizing that the bear's going to come out, and that I'm going to probably have 2 blood puppets sitting over there.
Something really interesting. So you talked about how you felt like your deck here was good against Jessa. One is because I think you've got all the tools to gum up her battlefield, and her strategy, at least in this version, is trying to swing in with big units.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's really beneficial here is that you're not putting a whole lot on your side.
Right.
To be killed and then scream to the party to hit you.
Right. And what that does is it makes his damage, his direct damage, if I can truly effectively tie up his battlefield, that means that his direct damage is going to have to go towards my battlefield in order to affect the screams.
Yeah.
Right? And if anytime you can direct somebody's attention to your battlefield with their direct damage away from you, that's interesting. It's not always good because they could just be getting rid of things that, to kill you with, but it is interesting.
So you kind of tipped your hand there and accidentally showed your second copy of Blood
Yeah,
Puppet.
I'm not sure why I did that, but...
No. It's a fear tag. Like, you just got in his head. He's like, oh, no, there's another one coming?
Well, yeah, but also that's what I knew was going to happen, too, right? He wants to fill that slot up himself.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's anything else that you really open memories for. Maybe another regress, which is brutal, if you did. But I think we both found that getting the second copy of Blood Puppet early is the better way to go.
I don't think I put an exhaustion token on my Blood Puppet, and I didn't use the end turn button here. I'm just staring at him. What's going on, man? But I feel like I can kill that EV that he's got, and give him another Blood Puppet.
Yeah, he's out of mana. The only thing you got to be worried about is Chant of the Dead, but I don't think you're going to kill more than one ally this turn.
Oh, absolutely not.
And Chant of the Dead requires 3, so you're fine. Let's see if you fix your... There you go.
There was a little bit of lag, and I think we see whenever the system crashed, that could have been part of the problem as well. So yeah, this is an interesting match. It's an interesting shell. I really do like the Blood Puppet Owl shell, and against a smaller battlefield, 5 battlefields, I feel like with a regress and the other things that you can pretty much take 3/5 of their battlefield away, unless they're a Brennan. Brennan is probably the worst matchup for me, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. The aforementioned tournament, I actually made it to the final round against Kian and lost to his Brennan because I was just giving him puppets. And he was running redirect, which I didn't expect. And he just redirected to a puppet, and it got bad.
Yeah, I can see that. And that is a downside to puppets, is that you are giving them fodder for their blood chains and redirect and everything else.
Hey, I'm having internet connections.
Welcome back, everybody. We've crashed again, but we're back into it.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, so I killed an EV. He got a token onto his Chant of the Dead. How did my owl take damage? Chant of Revenge. Yeah. Chant of Revenge put a point of damage on my owl. See, and I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah, totally.
His damage is going to my board, and I'm okay with that.
Totes McGoats. Man, the Charm Down the Owl is a real thing. I really want to see what Leo, the new Charm deck, brings to this deck. I'm really excited for those previews.
Me too. Oh, absolutely. I do absolutely agree with you.
Ooh. Hey, EV going at the bear.
Absolutely.
Or did he swing at you? He probably swung at you. I feel
it
would be a silly choice to swing.
Yeah, he swung at me, and then my EV soaked it up, and then my big buff owl that's gonna die anyway is gonna after his bear.
So this is something that I think I've talked about one of the third or fourth times we tried to do this. But a lot of people think that, like, oh, you're running blood puppets, you'll never be able to deal damage. And that's just not the case if they don't have unit guard. Because you're going to threaten their threats with your units. And they can't block with their blood puppet. They have to take it with a Phoenix Born.
Right.
And that way you can still push damage, even though you're clogging up their battlefield.
Exactly. So after this first round, I'm feeling pretty good, right? He's down 5 life. I'm down 2 life. His battlefield, for the most part, is gummed up. I'm going to be empty of a battlefield, but I'm kind of okay with that against a Jessa Screams of the Departed.
Absolutely. I mean, you got him down to 13, 5 damage to the 3 he did to you. You're doing well.
And then I just drew a bunch of burn.
You sure did.
2 Final Cry, a redirect, a Phoenix Barrage, and a Blood Chains. And that Blood Chains is going to do work on an already diminished battlefield.
Yes, this is good for you.
So after I see my draw, I'm feeling pretty good about the damage that's going to be done by Nick here. And I really wonder what that Chant of the Dead, if it was something that was more aggressive, that could have been, significant. If that was, I don't know, Crimson Bomber or something like that. That could have been really, really a problem for me. Or, as you mentioned, an Ice Trap.
Yeah, something that happened to me a lot lately is people would Ice Trap my Blood Puppet, which is really a funny thing, but it saves them a mana.
Oh, sure.
And it clears up that battlefield slot pretty immediately. So it's interesting. Man, you're just Hammer Bears is scary because it can just keep pumping them out, but there's no room for them. You just clogged it all up.
That's exactly right. That's the plan, anyway. Against OMG again, OMG Brennan at least. OMG is Owl, Monk, Gilder. They're so efficient that it's really hard to clog up their battlefield, and they want to throw creatures at you anyway. And there's that Ice Trap we were talking about.
Yeah,
my owl buys it.
But you're gonna deal 2 straight to Jessa or the bear. That's the decision, right?
Oh, we go face, I think. Oh yeah. So one thing is I did not take my Screams of the Departed damage that he paid for with that ceremonial basic. Whenever we do crash the game, I was able to fix that. You'll see that the life totals are correct after I fix that. I felt really bad, but there's a lot of stuff happened there.
We're trying to work to the face out of the lingo, Some
Oh,
people,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
To
So
Jessa. I did the damage to Jessa.
yes, thank you. Respect, please.
Absolutely. So his bear whacks me for 3 to Lulu, not to her face. Just to Lulu.
Just a Lulu.
Just to Lulu.
Oh, we got.
Giving myself a blood puppet.
At any time I see someone do this, and like I say, anyone, I've only ever seen you do it. So,
or yourself.
Yeah, I pretty much know the card in hand that they're going to use it with, or
Right.
or they're in a situation where they need to stop damage from coming in.
Right. And since the bear already swung, Nick calls it. He's gonna say, "Geez, I hope you don't have a blood chains." So he knows what's coming.
Yeah, in combination with that final card, that's really nice. Oh, wish you were Jessa. Could have screams there.
Oh, I'm okay because I'm about to Phoenix Brush something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess.
Big fan of the Phoenix Brush. And it's a relatively light deck, right? Blood Puppets and Owls are relatively cheap. Everything else is relatively cheap except for Phoenix Barrage and Sympathy Pain.
Yeah, I mean, your spellboard's only taking 3 mana out of your 10. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is where he says, "Oh, I hope you don't have a Blood Chains." And I go ahead and
Blood Chains.
Show the Blood Chains. I don't remember if I Final Cry. We've only seen this 18 times. I should know if I Final Cry or not.
No, it's like a rerun you haven't seen in a really long time.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Yes.
To the Jessa.
To the Jessa. Much respect. So he's looked like he's got the mana for basically getting out one more thing this turn, right?
Mm-hmm. And this is where I don't push the button. And Nick just stares at me and wonders why I'm a goof.
It's an interaction that would only happen in Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, you just sort of just look at the other person. So, by the way, interesting play that he did there. We forgot to mention, and I that's what really my concern is that we're going to miss things. Is he Chant of Revenge his Blood Puppet, and again, that's 2 Chant of Revenge damage that did not go on to me this game. One went on to my Owl earlier, and another went on to that Blood Puppet.
Interesting.
So cumulatively, that's done some work right there. Now, again, my life should be at 14. I missed a Screams damage. I think this is where things get a little bit odd about how we do things.
This is where you just start throwing charm dice on a blood puppet and swing big?
No.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, so I get my EV back, and what we miss here without the audio from Nick is I believe he goes ahead and I don't push end of turn, so he looks at me like I'm a goof, and he's right. And I think he meditates and double songs my EV away, which was very interesting from a play standpoint for the mana. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. But he goes first next, so I think he's just trying to clear the way for his units.
And his next bear, right?
Yeah. Oh man, more staring at each other.
Yeah, and that's my fault. It's because I've got the end turn on my side. And there they did. Yep, yay. That's another thing. I think this deck makes fear less valuable.
Yeah,
right?
you get put in this weird position where you want to fear something, but nothing seems like a good fear option. So you're just going to sit on it, hoping to see something that is a good fear option, but it's probably never going to come.
So his EVs violin my EV away, and then swing in for 2, and I Phoenix Barrage his bear out of existence, seeing no more mana over there. And again, I've still only killed one ally, so Chant of the Dead is not really done a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where he says, hey, did I take the 2 from that Phoenix Barrage? And he hadn't. And I said, oh, well, just go ahead and push rewind and let's find out. And he did push rewind, and the entire thing just blew up. And in the time that it took to figure out that he didn't take the damage, I was watching the video, and I realized that's when I didn't take my screams damage. So when the video starts next, we should have the right life totals. Okay, so the game crashed, and we're sort of back to where I Phoenix Barraged the bear. We actually did some things out of turn here. He's going to go ahead and swing with his EVs now, and then I'll give him a blood puppet. So the life totals will be correct at 7 to 11, 7 for him and 11 to me at the end of this, and which is good. But what's interesting is that since tabletop crashed, we were able to pick it back up from where it left off. That was really neat. I was really sort of concerned, that I know Nick was as well, that we weren't going to be able to get back in and finish the game in the current state that it was in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you couldn't go back and check someone in real life. It's really a nice feature for Tabletop Simulator. We should just all convert to the virtual world. Puppets.
Absolutely. So again, I feel like I've got his battlefield tied up pretty well. Things are either exhausted or regressed, or they've got blood puppets in them. And so I guess what this does is, against a Bear Knight deck, is it ensures that you're not going to get, Eric specialed with 7 and then 7, right? I mean, that's what he was doing in Tulsa, and that's what this does. Your whole goal here is to not get just rolled like that.
Yeah, I know that Eric had some concerns with regress, and lately he's been trying to take all the ceremonial with his illusion dice, but when you're running 6, there's just no way.
Well, it's certainly hard, right? It's certainly hard to wait before you cast your Hammer Knight. So I've got redirect in hand, but I kind of want burn. So I think I get rid of this redirect, figuring that, putting him at 6, no molt. Well, they don't have any moltens at all, but no. Yeah, well, I could have them. I guess
you're not a cheater. You're just a really bad deck designer.
Yes, that's exactly right. So I'm looking for those sympathy pains. I'm looking for those chants of revenge. I'm looking for those final cries. I'm looking for those Phoenix Barrage. I figure I don't really need this redirect.
Oh goodness!
You did it again.
Yawning? Yeah.
One like time, you just can't get through one without a yawn.
It just, blood puppets.
I'm so excited.
I'm seeing that more and more people, well, in my experience, I keep discarding redirect more and more. Especially when I'm ahead on life like this and I just want to close out a game. Mm-hmm. I see myself doing that more. Oh man, another regress draw? That's bad news for Nick here.
Yeah, and a chant and a sympathy pain and a Phoenix Barrage, right? I mean, that's lethal. So it's just a matter of now, I think it's just a matter of now just playing it out. I asked him if he took his red hot blood puppet damage, and he did.
It's a wound.
It's a wound.
It don't mess around with that damage.
That's correct. And that's one thing too is that there are this deck plays as in these 2 colors every card that can do direct. And blood puppet is one of those. Believe it or not. When you cast it and how you cast it and how you leverage it, it can do direct. It's gimmicky as heck. It's odd and silly. But it's insidious. They are insidious little guys, man. I like them. I like them so much.
Yeah, I hope it is a card that a lot of people wrote off. I wrote them off for a long time. It's cool to see them actually doing work.
And Nick basically tells me that he's going for broke. I'm still thinking that I'm going to be okay winning the race, and I put my Chant of Revenge in the perfect spot on the field. And then I remember you, and I fix it. I think somebody else gave me heck online too. I think it was Ed Gentry gave me heck on the YouTube channel about my terrible ready spell placement.
The people know. Okay,
they do know. They know. So he self-inflicts.
I would be surprised to see a final crack coming.
Oh, me too. And he hits me with some EVs.
And so he kind of just
back.
decided there that you're not going to play anything that could swing, and even if you do, he's got a regress to Hammer Knight to block with.
Right. Now, what's interesting is if you remember the 2 points of damage that either went on an owl or a blood puppet earlier, those 2 points become interesting.
Right. And that could just be, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough call. You put him in a really tough spot. I don't know that like if he plays you again, he doesn't kill those things, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to say that I think it's insidious. I think it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily, it may not necessarily be wrong. It doesn't necessarily feel wrong, but when you retroactively go back and look, it might have changed the game. Just those 2 points of damage.
Yep.
So I've got an owl out. And I know I quizzed you about my how I win this game.
We should still do it. Just buy some time, and we can ask the viewers to kind of think about it.
Okay.
Whenever it gets to your turn.
Sure, absolutely.
So on the podcast, I always say viewers, which makes no sense. But like this, I can actually say viewers here, and it makes sense.
Absolutely. So I get hit for another molten, and that puts me at 3 points of damage. I'm going to pause the video right here. It's my turn. With what I'm showing on the board, how do I win the game? How do I guarantee a win with no shenanigans from my opponent? And that's the question that I pose to you.
Yeah, it took me a little bit, but I got it.
Yeah. So if you look at my hand, and there's a way, and again I'll show you here in just a second, but go ahead and think about what I could cast and how I could cast it in order to prevent any sort of weirdness from my opponent. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I'll show you what I did in order to close the game out right here to put that last 3 on my opponent.
Oh, see, now you're thinking about it. We should have included that time.
Yeah, probably should have included that time. But here we go. So I go ahead and Phoenix Barrage.
Well, there's 2.
My owl.
Uh-oh. Now it's 3.
And do the 2 to my opponent on the Phoenix Barrage, and the Chant of Revenge is the 3rd point of damage. Had I shot one of his creatures, he could have final cried, the chant could have gone off. We would have to get down into the depths of the timing. I did have redirect back, that's what I'm showing him, so I probably would have been okay. And I was just showing the rest of my hand. So that was that's the game between Nick and I. A good game, fantastic game.
Really good game.
Really came down to it. I wonder what he could have done differently, if anything. He could have screamed me there, by the way, when I kill my owl, which puts me at 2.
Yeah, I think as first player though, you could resolve. Like, don't you finish you would resolve your Chant of Revenge and Phoenix Barrage before you resolve his screams.
Interesting.
So I don't know if the damage ever actually hits you.
Right, I was trying to get back to that 2 points of damage from the chants earlier, right? I mean,
right.
It's very interesting to see how that all plays out. And again, Chant of the Dead just didn't do any work for him at all. And I keep coming back to people that are like, for instance, Austin Mills' Jessa deck that won Kingsmakers played Blood Puppets. And I wonder if I could gum up his board a very similar way and never kill the Blood Puppets, right? Kill or neuter other things and just over the top. Not Blood Puppets. He played Butterfly Monks. Sorry.
Okay, that's what I was like.
That's my bad.
Wait, really? That's awesome.
No, he played Butterfly Monks, right? And so he wants to gain life from Butterfly Monks by people swinging into him. But I didn't swing once except at a bear.
Right, and so the idea would be that you just basically ignore them and make him have to kill him himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good call.
It's interesting. It's an interesting strat against Jessa, certainly.
Yeah, until he drops that blood transfer out of nowhere. Just kidding. No one runs blood transfer.
Hey, folks, thank you for watching Nick and I play and for this episode 3 of The Reaction. Hopefully, we'll finally get this one out and to you, and you can enjoy it and let us know if there's things that we could have done different, suggestions. Always welcome to those at any time. We watch and we look for that feedback. We would really appreciate that feedback. But again, thank you very much. We do appreciate you watching.
Yes, thank you very much. What are we gonna see on next episode? Any foresight on that yet?
I'm going to be playing Illusion Nature deck against Rob Freeman, the Pratt killer, Rob Freeman.
Oh, the Pratt killer. That's a cool title. Can
yes,
we just award that to people that beat us?
Rob Freeman, yeah, and it's a deck that I thought really was going to do well, by the way. These other decks that I've played have been sort of, silly fun decks, and I've said the first deck that I played, I didn't feel like I would take it to a tournament. This deck, I thought that I would have. It's actually the deck that I probably would have tried to play in Tulsa had I played. I was actually sitting with Eric talking about a deck very similar to it. And whenever I played against Rob, well, you'll have to see how it went out, how it came down.
The deck you're talking about is the one we're going to see next time?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Well.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you watch the next one. And we'll see you later.
Hopefully this gets to you sooner than later, and you can actually listen as well as watch. Hey, thanks, folks. Bye-bye.